Suspense. Radio's outstanding theater of thrills brings you an hour, a full 60 minutes of Suspense. Directed by Anton M. Leader and produced by Robert Montgomery, who tonight also stars in a play entitled In a Lonely Place by Dorothy B. Hughes.
You know, in a few days, it's going to be Halloween. Yes, the old goblins will be rambling around your neighborhood. And you'll soon be seeing a big ad in Life magazine that'll show you a ghost eating a Milky Way candy bar. And the ad will say, Hauntin' Flavor. Well, that ad will give you an idea, I'm sure, that Milky Ways make a scrumptious Halloween treat. And actually, Milky Way is the best light chocolate-covered candy bar in the whole world. You see, a Milky Way bar has a thick coating of honest-to-goodness milk chocolate over a chocolate malted milk nougat center. And then blended with that is a creamy, rich caramel layer. Yes, a Milky Way bar is a three-flavored hit. Now, for Halloween festivities, you serve Milky Ways sliced on a dish or in a big bowl, right in their wrappers for party refreshments. And when the doorbell starts pealing, you hand out Milky Ways to the little tricksters and treatsters. Buy Milky Ways for Halloween in the thrifty and convenient 6-pack carton or the 24-bar box. Better get them tomorrow. Then you'll be ready for Halloween with a treat of the finest candy. Milky Ways, made only by Mars.
In tonight's full hour of suspense, Mr. Robert Montgomery stars as Dixon Steele in the play In a Lonely Place. Tonight's study in Suspense. In just a moment, we will return with Act Two of Suspense.
This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
And now, back to our Hollywood soundstage and Act Two of In a Lonely Place, starring Mr. Robert Montgomery in a narrative well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I was very tired. Tired of thinking about Sylvia and Brub and the fear that had bound them as desperately as their love for each other. I was weary of the big hunt, for I was hunting on my own. I was looking for happiness. I spent the next few days with Laurel. It got so that I didn't count the hours anymore. All I knew was beauty, and I knew intensity, and I called it happiness. And all the time, I knew it wouldn't last. I sensed the restlessness coming into her. I could feel it.
Dix, what is it?
Did I say something? Laurel?
Oh, what is it?
You tell me. You've been sitting there without moving for more than an hour.
Oh, just daydreaming.
Was it something nice? Tell me about it.
Turn off the radio, Dix. It's making me nervous.
All right. You like a drink?
Yes, please. Thanks.
You know what we ought to do tonight? Go out on the town. Put on our Sunday best and have the biggest dinner on the menu. The sky's the limit. How does that sound?
Where do you want to go? To a drive-in? Dix.
I'm sorry. I seem to be all thumbs.
Well, here, let me make you a note.
No, that's all right. I didn't want it anyway. No, baby. No drive-in for you tonight. You're not the drive-in type.
What type am I?
The Ciro type, baby. Expensive and plush and chromium-plated. Ciro's, that'll do fine. I'll call and reserve a table for 10 o'clock.
Save your money. You can take me to a drive-in tonight.
I won't take you to a drive-in.
Why not? Are you afraid someone might see you there? Is that why?
What do you mean by that?
I mean you keep me hidden away from sight, as if we might run into some of your friends, like that Brub and Sylvia, as if I wasn't good enough for you.
Look, baby, relax. You're not making sense. Didn't I say I wanted to spread out tonight, get dressed up for once, and go to Ciro's? Hide you away. You come with me tonight and I'll show you off for everybody to see.
No, I'm tired. I don't want to get dressed and go places. All I want is to go up to the drive-in.
We're not going to the drive-in. We're not going.
Dix, you're hurting me.
Hello?
Hello, Dix. How are you?
Fine. What's on your mind?
Can you come over to the house? I want to see you.
Sorry, bro, but I got a date tonight.
I've just had a letter from England, Dix. It's about Brucey.
Brucey?
That's right.
Okay. I'll be right over.
Okay.
It seems that I can't have dinner with you after all.
All right.
You don't seem very unhappy about it. Laurel,
Yes?
I'm sorry if I hurt you.
Forget it. It's all right.
We haven't been soft lovers. We haven't played it that way. The world keeps coming in between us. That makes me afraid.
Why should you be afraid?
Because I might lose you. I have to keep telling myself to remember that I can't take any chances, that I can't lose you. I can't, Laurel.
Don't be afraid, Dix. You see, I love you very much.
Have a chair, Dix.
All right?
Would you care for anything to eat?
No, thanks, Sylvia. I just finished him.
Remember Adam Tyne, Dix?
No?
Sure you do. The flight commander from Bath. Nice, quiet fellow. We saw a lot of him that spring of 43.
Well, we knew a lot of fellas over there, Brub. I don't remember.
Well, it's not important, except that I've had a letter from him. First one in more than a year. It's a sad piece of news, Dix.
Let's have it.
Brucey is dead.
Brucey is dead. Brucey.
Oh, Dix. Dix, I didn't know.
I'm sorry, Dix. I guess none of us realized how much you and Brucey...
Brucey.
We didn't know, Dix.
No. How could you? How could anyone know? How did she die? Buzz bombs?
No.
Well, then how? How?
She was murdered.
Murdered?
Yeah, murdered.
Well, how... Why? Why? Who?
The police have never found out. Better not talk about it, Dix.
Well, I want to talk about it. I want to know who did it. Why should anyone kill Brucey?
They don't know. Her family missed her for 2 weeks. When she was found, it was in a rocky cove. She'd been strangled.
Brucey was dead. Brucey, whom I had loved, who was my only love. Brucey was dead, and no one cared. No one in all the world cared, except me. Brucey. I called Laurel when I got home that night. She didn't answer. I stepped outside and looked up to her apartment across the patio from mine. It was dark. She didn't come home at all that night, or the next day, or the next night. No word from her, not a sign, nothing. The following morning was a dirty gray rag. I called Laurel's number once more. No answer. I had to get out of that cramped room, away from the unremembered shape of my dreams. I didn't take the car. I wanted to breathe, to put motion into my body. I walked as far as Wilshire and then went up to Beverly Drive to my favorite delicatessen.
Dix,
Hi.
where'd you spring from?
Well, a guy gets hungry, bruv. How are you, Captain Lockner?
Fine, fine. Good to see you again.
Slide in.
Okay, thanks.
Would you like to order now, sir?
If you please. Salami sandwich on rye and a beer, please.
It'll be just a few minutes.
Well, more trouble in Beverly?
No, same old case.
We're not going to let it happen again, that's all.
And, you think it comes from this neighborhood?
It's the last clue we have. We pick up a little more each time we check.
Yeah, but where do you check? How?
And we've been talking to the help again. At the drive-in where he stopped with her that night.
Any luck?
I don't know yet. In these neighborhood spots, a lot of people come by to eat regularly. I got to thinking about it. There must have been some of the regulars around that night when he took Mildred in for coffee. The nerve of it, driving in there, coming in under all those bright lights and gambling that no one would remember what he looked like.
Like you and me, Brub. An ordinary man.
Yeah, an ordinary man with the nerve of a jet pilot.
I see what you're after, Brub. Have the help ask questions of the regulars when they come in. Were they at the drive-in the night of the murder? And did they see the couple?
That's it.
And I suppose you're hoping this fella's a repeater, too.
And that'd be a break, but there's no chance. No chance except for his nerve.
You mean he might have the nerve to walk in again?
He might, Dix. He just might.
And you think the help might spot him if he did?
I think they might.
They're keyed up to remember Mr. Steele. A little car hop, Jean, her name is, swears she'd know him again if he came in. She'll know him if she sees him again.
Only she can't describe him. That's the trouble with people in these cases.
You remember how it was when we were flying, Brub?
How do you mean?
You said yourself he's a gambler. He's reckless. I mean, he'll take chances like going to that drive-in before killing the girl. Well, it occurs to me that it's the same kind of recklessness we had when we were flying during the war. We took chances, but we were sure that we'd pull out of them.
Mr. Steele makes sense.
And something else, he's probably an ex-serviceman.
How do you figure that?
Well, the people who saw him at the drive-in all say he's a nice-looking fellow with nice clothes. At least that's what the newspaper accounts have to say. Am I right?
So far.
Then it's 10 to 1. He's the right age, good, healthy specimen, average. The average were in the service. I know that's not a very brilliant deduction, but it fills out the picture a little more.
I'll buy that, Mr. Steele.
Yeah, I will, too.
Well, I'll be getting back to the office.
I'll be in a little later today, Chief.
Okay.
By the way, Captain Lochner.
Yeah?
Every time I see you, I seem to be asking a lot of questions. I hope you haven't minded.
Not at all. Brub vouched for you a long time ago. You just keep asking them.
I will, Captain, and thanks.
I'm late now. I want to check over those Bruce reports again. See me as soon as you get back. Well,
right.
Here's your order, sir.
I beg your pardon?
Wasn't yours the salami sandwich?
Oh, yes, thank you.
Would that be all today?
Yeah, that's all right.
Your check, sir. And thank you.
Bruce. This is a pretty common name. There must be 100,000 in the United States.
At least.
And hundreds in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
He said he was going to check the Bruce reports. It's not the same one, Rob. It couldn't be. Not Brucey.
I'm sorry, Dix. I know it's a raw wound, but I couldn't help talking to Lochner about her. I was knocked off my pins when I heard the news, and I wanted to report on the case. I figured you'd want one, too.
You were right. Then what happened?
Locke cabled the London police. He thought it'd help us, that maybe Brucey was one of a series like our series. It's far-fetched, but the killer might have been an American. England was full of GIs at the time.
And was she one of the series?
They don't know. There was a series, but it didn't start right after Brucey. A couple of months, then it began. The same pattern. Strangler.
Well, what was the matter with him? Couldn't they catch him?
No, he was never caught. After 6 months, it stopped, just as suddenly as it had begun. Maybe he was shipped back home.
If I could ever find him, if I could ever get my hands on him, the man who killed Brucey,
I guess we feel the same about that. And do you want to come back with me, Dix, and see the reports?
No, I don't think I could take them, Brub. You understand?
Of course I do, Dix. Of course I do.
I went back to the apartment and lay on the divan for the rest of the afternoon, thinking about Brucey, strangled, so many miles away. And Laurel, who lived just across the patio from me and had disappeared as if the earth had swallowed her. I thought of them both, and soon their figures swam together in my mind and were commingled so that they became one. It was already dark, and I found myself very hungry. I got in the coupe and drove over to Wiltshire, not knowing where I'd eat. Past the Savoy, Romanovs, the tropics, and then suddenly, the brilliant lights of the drive-in glittered ahead of me. I didn't stop to think. I twisted the wheel and pulled into a parking space right up front, right under the lights. They were looking for a man of my height, a man of my build. I was here for them. I'd come. 2 young fellows were in the car to my left, a middle-aged couple to my right, No police. No police in sight. I was safe. The girl who came with the menu was pert and pretty, no more than 16.
Good evening.
Hello.
Want to see a menu?
Oh, I know what I want. I'll have the special tonight. It's kind of a celebration.
Yes, sir. All below.
I wondered what the girl's name was. I wondered if she was Jean, the car hop whom the police had alerted, the girl who would come up to each customer in the hope of finding me. And here tonight, she had found me, and she didn't know it. I ate slowly, lingering over the food, and before I left, I handed her a large tip, just to be sure she remembered me. She thanked me, smiling, and said,
Come again.
and I promised I would. I went out Wilshire to the ocean. The fog blew in at 14th Street, and I should have turned back then, but I didn't. I could hear the boom of the breakers, and I could smell the sea in the fog. And the fog itself was sweet and cool. It was silent. The world was shrouded in mists and silence, except for the thump of the water and the far-off cry of the foghorn. And then, at that moment, I knew what I was going to do. I got out of the car, and I listened to my footsteps across the pavement toward the beach. And then I listened to the silence as I began walking in the sand, sludging through heavy, damp sand. I passed the club where I'd gone to dinner one night with Brub, where I'd seen a young girl, a pretty brown-haired girl who looked like Brucey. I went on, trying to forget. I drifted along the deserted beach, looking for the shape of a living thing, of a woman. But I was alone. I passed a beach house where people huddled together in warmth and gaiety, and found myself trembling with hatred for Laurel. If she had come back to me, I'd not be shut out like this, cut off. They always leave you before you're ready. I groped on, my feet chained in the mud, and I stumbled and fell to one knee. I stayed there, my head buried in my arms. I was there for a long time, lost in the world of swirling fog and crashing wave, lost in a lonely place, and the red knots tightened in my brain. Suddenly, something came running through the darkness. A small, dark shape hurtled upon me, and I realized it was a dog, a friendly terrier. I stroked it gently and held it close. And then there were footsteps coming over the sand. I could feel my blood begin to pound with excitement. Where there was a dog, there was a master. Or a mistress. The sound of the steps came closer, and then she stepped forward out of the fog. I looked up from the dog and said, "Hello." And then I smiled. She couldn't know that behind that smile lay my hatred of Laurel, my hatred of Brub, my hatred of Sylvia, my hatred of Lochner, of everyone in the whole living world, of everyone. But Brucey. And Brucey was dead. Laurel at last. Laurel?
No, it isn't Laurel.
What brings you, Brub?
Am I invited in?
Yeah, of course. Sit down.
Yeah,
Anything wrong?
plenty wrong.
Is it Sylvia?
No. What makes you think it is?
Well, I don't know. You looked so worried.
You mean you don't know what's happened?
I don't know from nothing. I awoke to a beautiful morning, the birds singing, the California sunshine, and I decided it was a day for the beach. I've been out there all day riding the breakers. Oh, wonderful sport.
You were at the beach today?
Sure. What's wrong with that?
He was out again last night. The strangler. He did it on the beach.
Brub. Again?
The little Banning girl. Betsy Banning. You remember? The girl who looked like Brucey.
Yeah. I remember.
When I get him, and I will get him, I'm gonna kill him. I'm gonna kill him with my hands, the way he likes to do it.
Oh, now take it easy, Brub. Would you like a drink?
She always took her dog out for a run at night, no matter what time it was. She wasn't afraid. She was like Sylvia. The ocean was always something safe, something good, and she had her dog.
And the dog?
Buried in the sand, dead, strangled. Poor fella. Right on time, just about a month. On the nose every month.
And no clues?
On the sand, no clues, no buttons, no fingerprints, no cigarette stubs, no match folders, not even a calling card.
Well, there's not much I'm good for at a time like this, but if there's anything I can do, Brub, anything...
I was in the neighborhood. I had to stop by and talk. I'll be going now. Thanks, Dix.
Anytime, Brub. You know that. Anytime. The sand had been my first mistake. For sand was an evil, penetrating thing, and you could never wholly be rid of it. If dust could tell a story, then sand screamed out its secrets aloud. That was why the morning afterward early, I had gone down to the beach and spent the whole day there in the sand. That was why I had been ready for Brub. When he came, that was why I was ready for the whole L.A. police force if they wanted to come. After Brub left, I went out of the house and drove to the cleaners on Pico and left a bundle of dirty clothes. Then I ate in Beverly and afterward went into Warner's Theater for a double bill. On the way home, I thought I was being followed. A large gray sedan that stayed with me for 3 miles, but I was wrong. We were together at a red light, and when it changed, the sedan shot ahead of me and disappeared into the night. I slept without dreams and didn't wake until late afternoon of the next day. And still Laurel hadn't come back. "Do you love me?" I'd asked her. And she said, yes. She lied in my face and in my arms. I hated her, a cheat and a liar. No one cared. No one ever cared. Only Brucey. Brucey, who was dead, who had left me alone. Alone forever. For all of my life.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Captain Lochner would like to see you up at the station, if you don't mind.
I don't mind at all.
Well, take your time. There's no hurry.
Well, that's all right. I'm ready now.
You can follow me in your own car, if you like.
It doesn't matter.
You might as well take yours. You know the way, don't you?
Oh, yes, I know the way. So they wanted to look at my car while Lochner kept me occupied. I laughed out loud driving over. Let them crawl through it. Let them look at the sand and the dust. Let them make casts of the tires. It didn't mean a thing to me. It only made the game more exciting.
Thought maybe you could help us, Steele.
I'd be glad to, Captain. You name it.
It's the Bruce case, the English girl. I understand you knew her.
Yes. Brub and I both knew her. Wonderful girl.
I've been doing a good deal of thinking about Miss Bruce.
Brub told me your idea. It could have been the same man.
I got a list here of American men who were friendly with the Bruce girl. And were all in England when it happened. Just look it over. See what you can remember about these men. Anything they might have said or done. Here.
Oh? I see Brub's name is on it.
Yeah.
Mine, too.
But you'd been transferred before then, Dix.
My transfer wasn't completed until after I got back from Scotland. I had a month's leave accumulated.
You came home after that?
No. I was sent to Paris and into Germany on the cleanup. I was overseas another 6 months.
And what about the men on that list?
I can't tell you a thing against any single one of them. They were all good men. Not one could have had anything to do with this. It's impossible.
Okay. Brub's been telling me the same thing. It's another dead end. Well, that's enough for the day. I'm going home to sleep for 20 hours. Thanks for coming over, Steele.
Good boy, Dix.
Why? Because I stood up for the fellas? You did, too. We had to.
I never knew about Scotland. How'd you like it up there?
It was wonderful. Because she was with me. Brucey. She loved it there. And I loved her. The car was where I'd left it. If the police had gone after dust, they hadn't taken much. The floor mat was no cleaner than it had been before. I went home and sat in the living room, watching it get dark, not bothering to turn on any of the lights. There were no slips, no mistakes. There had never been any. There never would be any. I'd go back east. I'd get my trunk off tomorrow by express, and then I'd go by plane. Goodbye, Brubs. Goodbye, Sylvia. Thanks for the buggy ride. But first I'd find a room not too far away and hole up for a few days. Once I was gone, Laurel would come back to her apartment, and I'd be waiting in the shadows. I'd take care of Laurel. I sat there in the heavy darkness, my fingers aching, my head banded by iron. There were footsteps outside. No, not Laurel. A man coming home late from the office. But she might come tonight. I've been cleared by the police. No one need be afraid of me tonight. She might come. I sat behind the dark window, hardly breathing. And then I heard them coming, clicking on the pavement, high, pointed heels. I looked out. Slacks, a careless coat over the shoulders, a scarf to mask her flaming hair. I moved quickly, out the door, stepping softly through the windows, coming up behind her. So you decided to come back? Turn around, look at me. Sylvia.
Yes, Sylvia.
Where's Laurel? Where's Laurel? What have you done with her?
Laurel's all right, Dix. She's all right.
Where is she?
Dix.
Where is she?
She isn't coming back. She's safe, and she's going to stay safe.
So you've poisoned her against me because you hate me. From the beginning, you hated me.
No, Dix, no. Only I did feel something was wrong with you. From the first night you walked into our house, I knew something was terribly wrong.
You knew? What could you know? A jealous dame. You couldn't even stand to see Brub have a friend like me. Wanted me all for yourself, didn't you? And now, Laurel, you take her away from me,
Laurel
too.
came to us because she was afraid. Afraid of you and what you might do to her.
That's a lie.
Is it, Dix? Tell me, what happened to the girl who had coffee in the drive-in with you? What happened to the girl in Westlake Park? The girl down on Skid Row?
Sylvia, I'm going to kill you.
No!
All right, get him. Hey, all right.
It worked, Rob. It worked.
We were all in my apartment. Lochner and Brub and Sylvia. And some of the boys I'd seen from the Beverly station. They put on the lights and sat me down on the divan. And they stood around looking down at me. All of them but Sylvia. They stood between me and the chair in which she sat huddled. And Lochner was looking down to talk to me.
I'm arresting you on suspicion of the murder of Mildred Atkinson.
That's very funny.
And suspicion of the murder of Betsy Banning. And the attempted murder of Sylvia Nicolai. Have you anything to say?
Yes. I think you're crazy.
Listen to me, Dix. It's no use. We have Mildred Atkinson's fingerprints in your car. There's only one way they could get there.
Would you be lying? You, an old friend, just to trap me?
And we have the dust.
Do you know what a good lawyer could do with your precious dust?
I'm not through, Dix. There's quite a bit of lint from the Atkinson girl's coat.
Lint?
And there are hairs from Betsy Banning's Scotty dog. We found them on the suit you took to the cleaners.
But you can't think of everything, Brub. Especially when you're rushed. When your luck runs out.
Dix, look at me. Why did you do it? Why? Was it because you loved Brucie and she wouldn't have you? Is that what set you off? Is that what made you do it?
Brub,
Why, Dix? Tell me why.
Because I killed Brucie. This is Robert Montgomery again, with thanks to our cast for their splendid performances. Next week for Suspense, we've chosen a story with triple threat possibilities. The title, the story, and the author, taken by themselves, are enough to command our interest. In combination, they become a dramatic force powerful in suspense. I speak of Nightmare by William Irish, A story which fuses reality with unreality in a frightening pattern of fear and suspicion. If you've ever had a nightmare, you know its impact. You know the difficulty with which you cast it aside. If you've never had a nightmare, we cordially invite you to have one on us next week, when with Nightmare by William Irish, we again hope to keep you in suspense. Good night.
Mr. Montgomery may currently be seen in the Universal International production Ride the Pink Horse. In a Lonely Place by Dorothy B. Hughes was adapted for radio by Irving Ravitch, directed by Anton M. Leader, and produced by Robert Montgomery. Lud Gluskin is our musical director and conductor, and Lucien Morawek composes the original scores. Next week, hear Nightmare on radio's outstanding theater of thrills, 1 hour of
Suspense.
Remember to give gladly to the 1948 Red Cross Fund. This is CBS, where 99 million people gather every week, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
This is Waddle the Duck, ladies and gentlemen. Out of character to inform you that this alien invasion broadcast has no further significance than the Halloween offering it was intended to be. By the evening of Mischief Night, we couldn't toilet paper all of your houses, or the eve of Goose Night, egg all of your voting signs. By tomorrow night, so we did the next best thing. We destroyed Channel WatchWaddle and invaded Channel Halloween Holidays. You'll be relieved, I hope, to learn that we didn't mean it, and that both channels will continue to entertain with classic radio and animated cartoons. So good night, everyone, and remember for the next time, if your VCR is on the fritz, it may be a gremlin in your house, but it's no Martian. Happy Halloween!